Hi, I'm Lori Barnes. I'm here to talk to you about the Libra full moon, which is also a lunar eclipse and on the heels of the equinox. The moonlight in the sky is increasing over the weekend and is going to culminate on Monday. So it'll be Monday, March 25th. And if you're on the west coast of the United States, it'll be at 12 a.m. or midnight Sunday night. If you're on the east coast of the US, it'll be 3 a.m. in the morning. So you'll get to see the really big full moon on Monday morning, early in the morning. And if you're here in Rome, where I'm broadcasting from, it'll be at 8 a.m. in the morning on Monday. And the full moon in Libra will be at 5 degrees of Libra. And that is also the lunar eclipse, 5 degrees of Libra. This is a time for balance and harmony. Those are good keywords for Libra. The Libra full moon coincides with the Aries equinox. So every year when the sun moves into Aries, we have the Aries equinox, and that represents the time when we have equal daylight and equal moonlight. In the northern hemisphere, the equinox marks the beginning of spring. And in the southern hemisphere, it represents the beginning of fall. And this is the seasonal shift. It happens every year around this time. The Aries equinox, and when the sun moves into Aries, also marks the beginning of the astrological new year, with Aries being the first sign of the zodiac. So there's this fresh new beginning happening along with the full moon. Libra is an air element, and the air signs, which are Aquarius, Libra, and Gemini, they're known for having a social nature and a need for connection. So this full moon is a good time to socialize and to look at your relationships. You could see it as a time period to strengthen relationships and let this new energy of the season breathe some new air into relationships. The sign of Libra is known for charm, grace, and appreciation for beauty. It is a sign that likes to champion the underdog. Of course, every sign has its shadow side, so Libra can be prone to vanity, gossip, and indecisiveness. However, this quality of indecisiveness usually comes from difficulty in choosing between equally desirable options. Give Libra a bit of a break, because they're in their head busy weighing all these options and trying to make a decision, and it can become almost impossible when they're all desirable or none of them are desirable. That's where that indecisiveness really comes from. The opposite sign of Libra is Aries. Aries is a fire element sign. It's dynamic, has a lot of energy. With the sun traveling through the sign of Aries, that's where this vibrant new energy is coming from. The Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. As the sun moves into Aries, it brings in this vitality, this vibrant new energy. And it kicks off the new season, whether you're in the northern or southern hemisphere, the spring or the fall, but it also represents the astrological new year. Aries is the first sign of the zodiac, and at this time of the year, it's a new year. These two opposing signs, Libra and Aries, they highlight this concept of self-focus and other focus. Libra, which is symbolized by the scales, is constantly seeking balance, which is a temporary state. We're always trying to adjust. And it's just like driving a car on a straight road. You still have to hold the steering wheel and adjust as needed. Libra is the sign that can become overly focused on others, whereas Aries is the sign that can become overly focused on self. And we're talking about this balance here. The equinox also is about balance, because the equinox is, of course, equal daylight, equal moonlight. Libra is focused on others and can become imbalanced on neglecting the self and becoming too focused on others, whereas Aries can be too focused on the self and neglect relationships. So that's kind of the theme of this full moon to keep in mind as you're going through the weekend and next week into the full moon. I'd like to think of the equinoxes and the solstices as reminders for this balance and imbalance, this ebb and flow. As a human being living the human experience, it's inevitable to have periods of imbalance. It's just part of life. So when we have these full moons or new moons in Libra or Aries, and with the equinoxes, it's a good time to assess balance with your different relationships, with your family, with your friends, your partner, your kids, your colleagues. Ask yourself, Am I prioritizing self-care sufficiently? Do you spend too much time on others, neglecting your own needs? Are you overly selfish, neglecting important relationships? Reflect on all these different relationships and decide or think about which relationships feel balanced with a healthy give and take and which ones don't. You're always going to be a little bit on one side or the other. You may find that perfect balance spot, but it's not about maintaining it rigidly. It's about being flexible with this balance and not going too far. So just thinking about the Libra scales, if you kind of keep it like this with the give and take, then that's quite healthy. But if you start doing this significant where you're going way too far on one side and then way too far on the other side, that's really imbalanced. And you're really wanting to find that sweet spot where it's kind of like a balanced flexibility. Be aware of where you fall on that. And this is a good time of the year to reflect on that with the Libra full moon. We do have a Mercury retrograde coming up in April. If you do become aware of a significant imbalance in a relationship, then April it would be a good time to resolve that imbalance. Things like that don't usually turn around overnight. If you start becoming aware right now of an imbalance and you want to work on that, the whole month of April would be a good time to resolve some of those imbalances with the other person, or you may find it's not with the person, but it's with just your work in general. If there's an imbalance during the Mercury retrograde, can be a good time to reflect, revise, and realign. The full moon is in Libra, which means the sun is in Aries, and this Aries energy is pretty dynamic. It can be this spark that ignites your motivation. It can spur you into action. However, before you dive in head first, I have a word of caution for you. With this Mercury retrograde starting on April 1st, it's best to take the rest of March to finalize new projects or wrap up any launches so that you can spend April reviewing those things. Regularly reviewing your progress on any important priorities in your life is always a good idea. It's a very valuable practice. If you take this concept of review and you align it with astrology, with Mercury retrogrades, it can be very helpful and efficient to do it with the Mercury retrogrades so that you're doing your reflecting time when the planet of communication, Mercury, becomes more reflective and introspective during its retrograde phase. So that would be my recommendation, is to plan to dedicate a significant portion of April to reviewing the progress that you've made since the new year and revise and realign as needed. The Libra full moon is also a lunar eclipse. Now, you've probably already heard about the upcoming total solar eclipse, which is going to take place on April the 8th. It's kind of a big deal to have a total solar eclipse. And if you live in North America, you could have a chance to witness this total solar eclipse depending on where you are. And I will include a link below where you can go check a website that'll tell you if you're in the path of it or not. But before that total solar eclipse on April the 8th, we have a lunar eclipse with the full moon on Monday. Eclipses always come in pairs. So the lunar eclipse is first, and then the solar eclipse will happen April the 8th. Lunar and solar eclipses are like intensified new and full moons. A solar eclipse coincides with the new moon. It usually indicates something coming in that's like a powerful new beginning or an external change. A lunar eclipse always coincides with the full moon, like the one we have coming up on Monday. And lunar eclipses tend to signify endings or letting go. This is often experienced as an emotional release, deeper self-reflection. The key takeaway for eclipses is that they can come and go without any significant personal experience. To know if this eclipse might hold significance for you, you have to look at your chart. So if you have placements on or around 5 degrees of Libra, Aries, Cancer, or Capricorn, then this eclipse would be activating areas of your life and could indicate that something important could come up for you. But the specific nature of that really depends on your chart, where it's falling. You could look at the astrology house to get a better understanding of how that might show up for you. Look at the Libra part of your chart. Look for the Libra house in your chart. And if you want to get a deeper understanding of how this particular eclipse might impact you, consult a professional astrologer like me. Get a copy of your natal chart and see what you can find yourself. But if you're confused or you're not sure, then checking in with a professional astrologer would be the best thing to do. If your chart doesn't have any activations, you don't have anything in Libra, Aries, Cancer, or Capricorn, then this eclipse might pass by unnoticed. If you don't have a copy of your chart and you want to get one for free, you can go to astro.com and you can put your information in and you'll be able to get your chart. It's important to remember that if you are experiencing significant life changes or events, it can be because of other influences on your chart, other planets maybe transiting or influencing your chart. When we talk about a full moon, this one being in Libra, we also want to talk about the sun and the sign that the sun's going through. The sun's going through Aries. This is bringing in some extra vitality. The sun is shining through the sign of Aries. It shines on the moon, and then the moonlight that comes down at night when it's dark, that has that essence of Aries in it, because the moon is getting the light from the sun, and then the moon is beaming that down to us. And Aries and Libra are always on this polar opposite axis. Every pair of signs has an opposite. So this lunation, the Libra full moon, we're talking about Libra and Aries. Aries is a fire sign. It's of the fire element. It's dynamic, action-oriented. It embodies the spirit of the warrior. It's youthful. It's the first sign of the zodiac. It's courageous, ready for a challenge. Every sign has its shadow side. It can be prone to hot-headedness, impulsivity, act before thinking, but it's a natural leader. Aries and Libra are both natural leaders. They're both cardinal signs. Aries in particular won't back down from a fight, whereas Libra might try to avoid a fight at all costs. Libra's the diplomat. Libra is the mediator. Libra seeks peace. Where you have Aries, the warrior and the conqueror, seeking victory, you have Libra seeking peace. But they'll both go to war. Libra will go to war for peace, while Aries will go to war to win. These two opposing signs, Libra and Aries, remind us to be mindful of how we present ourselves and how we impact others. Libra and Aries symbology remind us that oftentimes we can only see certain aspects of ourselves through the reflection of others, which you've probably heard of as projection or shadow work. Like every new or full moon, we always want to know what else is happening, because that is going to clarify the new moon or the full moon, in this case, the full moon. So we'll talk about a couple of the other things happening at the Libra full moon. We still have a lot of planets in Pisces. We have 4 planets: Mars, Saturn, Venus, and Neptune. And that's a lot of Pisces energy. And this has been prevalent since the Pisces new moon. So if you're feeling a bit dreamy or creative or wanting to stop and smell the roses more often, you're not alone. This Pisces influence can also be a bit unsettling because it's kind of like flowy and dreamy. But if you embrace the flow and just kind of trust the process, it can ease how you travel through this period of time. What can help is that there's also planets in Taurus, which is a very grounding sign. So even though there's this strong Piscean influence of kind of dreamy and going through the fog, feeling your way through, we have Jupiter and Uranus continuing their journey through Taurus. They're both slow-moving planets. This isn't really new news. They've been in this sign for a while, Uranus much longer, but we do have Jupiter there in Taurus along with Uranus. Taurus planets and the Pisces planets have this harmonious sextile with each other. The energy is really harmoniously flowing between the Pisces and the Taurus planets. That's 6 planets that I mentioned. So it's a lot of energy in Pisces and Taurus. And this synergy can be supportive for taking action on new routines or creating something new. Now, that said, remember that we do have this Mercury retrograde cycle coming up, and we're already in the pre-shadow phase that started on March the 19th. This Mercury retrograde is going to be in the sign of Aries. There's already a lot of Aries energy happening with the sun in Aries, and Mercury is already in Aries now. If you have Aries placements in your chart, your natal chart, look at that, because Mercury is going to retrograde in that area. And you're going to learn a lot more about how the Mercury retrograde is going to, the quality of the time of this Mercury retrograde, I should say, what that experience is likely to be like for you, and what topics, themes, and people might draw your attention during the retrograde. So look at your chart, find Aries in the circle. There's 12 houses. See where Aries is in your chart, because that will give you more information. Here are the dates. I want to give you the dates of the retrograde cycle. So we are already in the shadow. That started March 19th. The actual retrograde will start April the 1st. Mercury will go direct on April 25th, and the post-shadow period of the Mercury retrograde will end on May 14th. The entire cycle will be over May 14th. The degrees that the Mercury retrograde is going to cover is from 27 degrees and 13 minutes of Aries. It's going to retrograde back to 15 degrees and 59 minutes of Aries, and then it will go direct and it will go forward back over those degrees again. I have a quote for you from Melody Beatty. She says, "Letting go helps us to live in a more peaceful state of mind and helps restore our balance. It allows others to be responsible for themselves and for us to take our hands off situations that do not belong to us. This frees us from unnecessary stress." I hope that inspires you. I also have some activity ideas for you to do over the weekend or on the full moon on Monday. If you're going to do a ritual, I have a full moon ritual guide that I will link to below, and there is one ritual for each of the elements. Libra is an air sign, so I would recommend that you do the ritual for the air element. Socialize with your friends. Libra is a social sign, and the sun is in dynamic Aries. It's like get up and go. There's also this abundance of water and earth. So you may feel a bit drained and tired. Like, you may be like, I'm too tired to go out and socialize. So stay in and invite your friends over. Just have like a cozy night in with your friends. You can order out, you can cook, whatever, but socialize with your friends. I think that would be a really fun weekend to get together with your friends. Libra is a sign that really appreciates beauty and art, so do something creative. And remember, there's all that Pisces energy as well, and Pisces is also a very creative sign. Getting out there and painting, dancing, stay in and do vision boarding, play a musical instrument. Libra loves artistic things, and Pisces loves to dream up something creative and mystical. And then we have Taurus, which appreciates good food, good drink, and music. It's really a good weekend to indulge in the things that you enjoy, that make you feel good, and things that entertain you. So have some fun and indulge yourself. Another thing to do is take some quiet time to reflect on how well balanced your different relationships are. Think about your family, your partner, friends, work. Do you overgive in some? Are you too self-focused in others? Do you maintain healthy boundaries? Do you regularly do self-care? If you notice an imbalance in these areas, make some adjustments. Another idea is to write 5 things that are harmonious in your life right now. Libra loves harmony, so look for harmony. Where can you find it? What's working really well? What's harmonious in your life? And my last recommendation, do some spring or fall cleaning. Usher in the new season. Clear out the cobwebs. Get rid of the dust. Rearrange. Or maybe you want to do that in April when Mercury's retrograde. But do some fall or spring cleaning. Get ready for this new season that we are moving into. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it. You can look for the April new moon video in a couple of weeks. If you like this video, I'd really appreciate it if you hit the like button and you subscribe to my channel. If you want to be notified when new videos are published, you can click the little bell and YouTube will let you know. You can find me at LoriBarnesAstrology.com. I'll see you next time. Thank you. Ciao.